Hello there. Welcome to Force Ghost Conversations. This podcast is your home for cozy deep dives into all things Star Wars and Lucasfilm-adjacent properties. This is your host, Anthony King, and each week I will be joined by fans, creators, and believers in the principles from the galaxy far, far away to discuss the thematical elements from our favorite Lucasfilm properties. And without further ado, it is time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and we are boots on the ground at Halcy-Con, the only convention in the world that is dedicated to preserving the legacy and story of the Galactic Starcruiser, aka the Halcyon. And so far, it has been, I would say, a really incredible event. Even if you haven't been on the Starcruiser like I have, this is like opening up my world to a whole lot of different things in the Star Wars fandom, I'll be honest. But I'm kind of going in with a go with the flow kind of mentality for this con here, as opposed to other things where I really haven't done a whole lot of prep, to be honest. And I'm just kind of seeing where the road takes me here. So this is me checking in, as well as just finished lunch too. So did a whole morning of activities here, and started off my day with meditation and yoga. So that was new. That was probably the most out of the box kind of thing you'll ever see me do at one of these things. So kicked off with that, and I think that was a great way to honestly center my day and my experience. Maybe very needed. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Had a excellent panel on kind of the spirituality of the Starcruiser and like that kind of out-of-world rock star experience that people that were able to go on there were provided. Now, as a result, since it no longer exists, the people that got to experience that now get to kind of share that wisdom and experience with other people, and hopefully pass it on to others and create this like ripple line effect of people doing good and being the hero that we all are capable of being. And also a really interesting panel about kind of making Star Wars inspired spaces in your home, which was, I would say, really interesting because there's a lot that can go into that, and frankly the sky's the limit when it comes to your ideology and whatnot. So that was where I've been this morning. Just had lunch here. We're located at the DoubleTree in just outside of Universal. So it's been I'd say great. It's big event space here for sure. They got things very well under lock and key. Not under lock and key, but the ships are running on time and whatnot, and that's exactly what you want to see for a con. There's actually a good amount of space, and maybe I'll go check out some panels this afternoon. I definitely think the marketplace they have here is in line for a review, and who knows who and what we'll run into. So stay tuned for more updates from Halcy-Con. Welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations, everybody. And, one of the best parts of being at a convention is we get to hang out with some of our friends that we run into. And I am truly honored to be here with returning guest, Mary Perdue, and also first time on the show, but long-time listener, Liberty Timmons. Welcome both to the show. And let's start with you, Mary, because this is your second time now at Halcy-Con.
Yeah.
How are you doing? And how's your round 2, The Empire Strikes Back of Halcy-Con's been?
It's been great. Last year, the mantra was first year con. Mm-hmm. And so this year, it's sort of been that second year con.
Yes, I've seen the Tu Buite.
Yeah, the Tu Buite. That was kind of bounced around last year at the end of Halcy-Con. It's like, okay, if we do another one, what are we going to call it? And somebody really quickly came up with that, and they just ran with it. Like, yep, can't do any better than that. Let's just do that. So, but it's enhanced greatly. Since last year, we were in a much smaller hotel over on Earl O'Bronson. This year, we're at the DoubleTree by Universal. So more people, more room, more access to things. Mm-hmm. many, many more panels. They really had a lot of interesting panels that people came up with. And the one thing that everybody has to remember is this is fan-based.
Yeah.
This is not anything coming from Lucasfilm or Disney or anybody like this. It is all fan-based. So everything that we've been experiencing today has been people who are just creative and the love of the Starcruiser, and we've just rolled with it.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear that it's gotten better since the last
Yes.
time. It can only go up from here, I imagine, too.
It was fun last year, but we were very cramped. There were a lot of things that's where the first year con mantra started, because it was like,
work out some of those
this.
areas.
Yeah, they had to work some things out, but they did, and it's been great.
Now, Liberty, did you go to last year's Halcy-Con? First question there.
I did not.
You did not.
I missed it. I missed out on the tickets and didn't really know about the opportunity. But thankful to Mary, who always stays on me about my Star Wars activities and includes me in her plans. I was able to get in on the ticket sales this year and kind of grab something. And I love the hotel setting. I love that this con this year didn't go last year, so I can't compare that. But I like that this con was in the same hotel. So if you want to go back to your room, take a break.
A little easier.
It's a little bit easier, yeah. Very accessible as far as where the rooms are. It's a nice space, very nice space as far as cons go. I've really enjoyed their offerings this year. Lots of panels, lots of different variety of panels. It's been very nice for my first Halcy-Con experience.
Amazing. I mean, you literally have the Galactic Starcruiser symbol tattooed on you now, as you showed earlier today.
I do. Yes.
Has there been a panel that your favorite panel so far of this experience?
I think on an emotional level right now, I actually enjoyed Maria Sandoval's panel because I am currently wearing one of her hair pieces.
Okay.
And I just feel very honored to have been able to get to meet Maria and have her actually hands on my hair, and she installed this hair piece on me. So I get to say that I have been worked on by one of the Lucasfilm artists who actually worked on Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So I really enjoyed Maria's panel, and just meeting her finally. I followed her on socials for a little while, but she was really a nice meet, and that was really a neat experience, meeting her and getting to attend her panel.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Anytime you can get FaceTime with those people that are literally creating the things that we are here for.
The creators.
Like, we wouldn't be here without Star Wars first and foremost, and then it's the Galactic Starcruiser that really brings us all here specifically for this endeavor here today. But when we can get that FaceTime, it's that extra special treat that these conventions bring out for all of us.
Absolutely.
Now, Mary, we're waiting for a couple minutes to pass by so that we can see the start of this new documentary that's coming out very soon. We actually get it previewed to us tonight about the final voyage of the Galactic Starcruiser. And, having been on it, how does it make you feel to kind of see these images again and revisit some of those experiences?
It's rough. Last year, Carrie Copeland, who is doing this documentary, she gave us a little snippet of it last year, just as she was, what they were putting together, beginning, what people had started to give them, and just presenting to everyone at Halcy-Con, this is what we want to do. And she's worked with, I think, PBS and her local national public radio, and she's a college professor, and so she knows from where she comes, right?
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing, and I probably have her credentials wrong, but I'm close to it, right? But from memory, from a year ago, I'm old, so blah. But she, about 6 months or so ago, they did a Kickstarter, for it to get some more funding. So I went in on the Kickstarter.
Amazing.
And so I think this is pretty much the final, what we're going to see tonight.
I think it's the final cut.
The final cut.
Yeah.
And then those who went in with Kickstarter, we're going to get a digital copy of it, and
Amazing.
that type of, or maybe a physical copy of it. And so, I'm anxious to see everything. But even today, we did the Auction of Wraith Coal panel, and it was really cute. What it was based on Wraith Cole stealing coaxium during the Starcruiser. That was one of the underlying stories. And so they brought all these little witnesses on, to say what happened when this coaxium was stolen. And they had it in the main panel and on the big screen, and they popped up all these various videos from different. It was funny because it was obviously from different voyages, because there were 3 or 4. Yeah, I mean, there were a number of different Wraith Coles and all the different characters. There were a number of people that played these different characters through the 18 months, right? So even watching this video, it's like this little holo vid was this particular person who was Wraith, and this particular person who was Gaia, and this, and so then the next video would be somebody totally different, where there's, but you're sitting there and like I saw people I knew, and it wasn't the cruise that I was on; it was just people that I know in real life, right? And I'm like, oh my God, there's Olivia, there's this one, there's that one, there's so. And so I know the feeling that I had watching that this afternoon is going to be 100-fold watching this tonight. I think I have Kleenex with me, I hope, because
yep.
I'm going to be on.
Grab some napkins just in case.
Absolutely.
I certainly had a tear in my eye watching that footage. Because it's just so bittersweet, us being here, and we're celebrating this thing that we lost.
Yeah.
And it is
this
a
is
loss.
Like a celebration of life.
It is a celebration of life. It is. And it's sad, and it brings us all together the same way that a celebration of life would. But it's very bittersweet seeing those images and knowing we're never going to get to step foot in those areas again.
Yeah.
We're never going to get to have those exact same experiences again.
Right.
And together. And like Mary said, you see people that you recognize, you know faces. And yeah, it's a very bittersweet experience being here.
I agree with you on the bittersweet part, but when we were talking earlier today, we talked about how the negativity of fandom is very much apparent, and especially when it comes to perhaps the Galactic Starcruiser and other properties around the Disney canon, if some might say. But I think like an event like this showcases that there are so many people willing to fight against that and to be together as one, and to say like, hey, we had a great time here, or if you didn't come and didn't actually get to enjoy it yourself, like you can still be a part of this, and we're going to keep this going forward. What does it mean for you as a fan of Star Wars and the Galactic Starcruiser to be a part of a moment like this?
What is the Rose Tico line about not fighting what we hate, but
saving what we love?
Saving what we love. And that's what I feel like this is. This is that opportunity for us to save what we love with the people that we care about. And we're surrounded by those Star Wars themes of hope.
Yeah.
And, I wish we had a redemption story for the Halcyon. That would be fantastic. But
it still exists, technically.
Technically, it still exists, but
I go by just about every day.
Yeah. But it's just such a positive thing to come together in a space where you can feel the positivity from these people. And yes, as we talked, there's so much of that negativity in the space, and it's just nice to be surrounded by such positivity and people that share the same visions as you and have the same feelings for this thing that we all love, above and beyond just the Star Wars property.
Yeah.
We have this specific thing within the property that we all have in common here. And I really wish that more people had the opportunity to experience it, because I feel like for those true Star Wars fans, it would have given them everything that they ever wanted.
Absolutely.
From the time that we all were little and playing with the toys and the action figures. And it made us all children again to be on the Halcyon.
Absolutely.
And that's not a feeling that in our adult everyday lives that we get to experience. So the Halcyon it was so special in that feeling that it brought to all of us, because we were different in space.
Yeah.
We were better in space. I attended the panel. You were better in space, and we were. And it was an ethical argument. We had to choose the light side, the dark side. You had to figure out if you were going to fight for the Resistance or the First Order, but it gave us all this opportunity to be more than what we are in everyday life, and to connect to each other in in a very pure way, where there was no judgment. We were all in it together. We were all exposed to this experience that just made us better people.
Yeah.
There was just nothing like it, and there probably will never be anything like it.
Unfortunately, I don't think so. In the current iteration of the society we live in, I don't know if we'll ever get something as ambitious or as cool, frankly, as what eventually came out to be the Galactic Starcruiser experience. But we're here at Halcy-Con to keep the legacy going and celebrate it as much as we can. And I think we're pretty soon here to having to go pick some seats for this upcoming documentary screening here. So, ladies, thank you both for coming onto the podcast and sharing some of your musings from the day here that was.
Thank you for having us.
Mary, where can the folks find you online if they want to continue the conversation?
I am on Instagram the most, and it's Mary N. Chaz, Maryn Chazz. So you can always find me there. Also, our mutual friend Dan Zaire, I'm over on CWK Cafe with him and posting in that particular area on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter X as Mary_Perdue. That's like the chicken, Perdue. But I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be. But so any of those places.
Fair enough. Mostly the gram, though.
Mostly the gram.
And Liberty, where can folks find you?
I do a lot on Facebook. I'm in a couple of the Halcyon groups, but I'm Liberty Timmons on Facebook. And on Instagram, I'm a little bit more difficult to find, but my handle on Instagram is Highway Junkie 1976, HWYJUNKIE 1976. And then it is _ my Star Wars name, Tibberty Lemons.
There we go. Very cool, very cool. Thanks again for coming on to the podcast, and folks, stay tuned for more from Halcy-Con. All right, everybody, welcome back. It's day 2 of Halcy-Con. Sorry I didn't kind of do a recap yesterday. It was just very busy at the end, late night, but we're back at it early again, and here to give you a little bit of a debrief on day 2. Currently walking over to the space now from Universal. I decided to park because the convention center is right across the street from Universal, which is cool. So as an annual pass holder, figured I'd use my perk of free parking and park there and then get some extra steps in, which is always good for your health. And so I'm taking that trek over now and figured might as well give everybody the little debrief on the way over there. So we had a plethora of wonderful panels that I attended yesterday. One was like a round table on fan fiction creators, and it's so cool that there's this whole community here outside of that tabletop RPG kind of space where people are not only encouraged but go beyond the nature of creating their own characters for this experience. New names, backstory, what happens afterwards. And people feel compelled to write it down so that they can remember, I guess, what they had written or thought about, but also to preserve the story of some sort in a tangible format, and maybe inspire others as well to achieve their own creativity goals or needs, whatever they need to do. So that was really cool, just to hear a bunch of the different experiences that people have had in this space, particularly when it came to Starcruiser roleplay. Also attended some panels on, first the next panel I did was about this like culture of creating customized action figures based on the Starcruiser, where there isn't a whole lot of, I guess, material in that space because of how long it was out. Maybe just Disney doesn't want to, I don't know. But there's an audience, and when there's an audience and there isn't a supply out there, then they create their own supply, therefore. And it's really interesting to hear a lot about the process, so to speak, of how people do that and how it comes together. Also, like the cardboard play sets, similar to things in the 70s and 80s, right? Lego as well was talked about in that panel, so that was cool. Another great panel of the day was kind of an overview of the canonical history of Batu, and we talked about some of the overlap of this is where the characters are at all these times based off of current canon sources, and that kind of leads into the canon conversation, right, of what isn't canon. Not necessarily what is and what isn't canon, but who's the reliable narrator? Is it plausible that they were in all these places at the same time? Who's telling the story? Right? I think all those things need to be factored in when you consider, is this fact, did it happen, is it fiction, etc. And lastly, I attended a panel on bounding, which I think was really interesting because so much of the Starcruiser culture was about people dressing up as their characters and bringing them to life, not just in the means of, story-wise, but also physically bringing the character to life, right? What would they wear? What would they eat? What is their accent like? So from some professional, cosplayers who have been on the Starcruiser multiple times, they led that conversation and then kind of gave some tips and feedback for folks on how to improve their own cosplay journeys. Now, apologies for the traffic here, as this is a major intersection here that I have to traverse to get to the side where the DoubleTree is at from the Universal walking path. So those were all the panels of the day. Had a quick dinner, met up with Mary and Liberty. You'll hear that audio as well. And I think I'll include the audio of the Batu history presentation as well. And then we had a exclusive, preview screening. I don't know if it was the premiere screening or not, but at least a screening nonetheless of the Halcy-Con Days documentary that is coming out very soon. You can still support the Kickstarter for that one. Get the digital copy or the Blu-ray. I'll have to look into that more. But I gotta tell you, folks, it was a fantastic little documentary. Not little, full feature-length documentary. And I thought it was just really, really well done. They highlight, it says it's really about the last days of the Starcruiser, the final voyages, etc. But it's really just about what the Starcruiser experience was. Probably arguably doing a better job at tangibly defining it than Disney ever did. They also talk extensively about the culture and subculture, frankly, that was created within the Star Wars community because of that, which I found to be really fascinating, and it's on full display here at Halcy-Con. I would really advise, even if you didn't go on the Starcruiser like I did, any Star Wars fan, I think, should attend a future Halcy-Con, in my opinion, because it really gives a glimpse into this very cool and interesting subgroup of the Star Wars fandom, which I don't think, now that the Starcruiser is closed down, that you really get an opportunity to experience any other way. So I there's my vote of confidence on that one. But yeah, the documentary is really great. It's about an hour and a half long, so definitely worth the time. It's very funny, it's heartwarming, it's engaging, it's a little bit of a tearjerker at times. Kind of hits all the elements. So if you're a fan of Star Wars, and even if you didn't go on the Starcruiser, you'll get a lot out of it. And frankly, you'll probably learn a lot, because there's also not a whole lot of videos, positive videos I should say too, about it online. So that is pretty much all of the happenings from yesterday. I'm excited for day 2 here. I'm going to walk around the marketplace, attend some more panels, and we'll check in later. Welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations, everybody. And sometimes when you're walking the show floor, you come across some incredible things. And just standing outside of the marketplace here at Halcy-Con, I saw a Thrawn Bear, not a Build-A-Bear because they don't have them there, but a literal created Thrawn Bear. And then in chatting with the person who created this, I'm like, you've got a great story to tell. So I'm here with Aaron, who is the creator and brain person behind this endeavor here. Aaron, where would the inspiration come from, and why are you walking around with a Thrawn Bear today?
I loved collecting the Build-A-Bears, and they had the Star Wars ones, but they didn't always have my favorite characters.
That's fair.
I just decided to see if I could try to make it. You know, I'm an amateur seamstress, so we start from there, and yeah, I kind of went from there. I tried different other characters, Hera, Awani from the Halcyon. I'm currently working on Vi Marati from...
Amazing, yeah.
So it's been a learning curve, but
sure.
People have been happy with it, and I'm just humbled by
all the outpouring of support, it sounds
like.
I'm like,
I didn't think this was good enough, but...
Amazing. Well, you say amateur, but I feel like you're selling yourself short here, because that, this craftsmanship is definitely professional here.
Oh,
and I'll post the picture to our Instagram account. But the sky's the limit once you've created the template here, and it's I guess these are custom made to order. If someone reaches out on Instagram, how can they get in contact with you about this?
You can look on my Instagram at Enigma506. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for telling us where people can find you. And again, folks, check out our Instagram, because this Thrawn Bear is adorable and will take you out too if you're not paying attention. So it's Thrawn. He's cunning, he's conniving, even in cute bear form. He will still get you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on day 2, and effectively a wrap on Halcy-Con 2025 for yours truly here. Frankly, I was pretty blown away by how great of a con it was, and how they were able to do so much in terms of programming, content, all the accoutrement that makes a good con, a con for a specific subset of the Star Wars fandom and community. And you can even say subset of a subset, right? Because it's like, okay, Disney parks, then Galactic Starcruiser. And for something that only existed as well for only, 18 months? Something like that? Not fully 2 years? Incredible to see so much outpouring of love, enjoyment, curiosity, creativity channeled into a singular experience which no one had the same of. I'm sure most of these people weren't even on the same Halcyon excursion, if you know what I mean. But to keep this alive in many ways through groups, chats, Zoom calls, etc. It's been awesome to get a glimpse into this subset. And I think that my overall thesis here is maybe every Star Wars fan should attend a Halcy-Con of sorts in the future. Also, sorry, as I'm on the walking path again, back to Universal, and you'll also probably hear some of the traffic, but occasionally some people will also walk beside me, or the other side, going back to their hotels and wherever they may be coming from. We had, or at least I participated in, a lot of great and cool panels today. Many of them talking about immersion and the future of where it's kind of going, and how basically Galactic Starcruiser was so far ahead of its time on everything that other places are kind of just trying to catch up to where Disney was at with that one. But I closed out the day with some real interesting panels on kind of the Saja experience, which is more or less the people who guide you through the lightsaber training and force experiences when you're on the Starcruiser. Get my words right there. As well as the intricate community groups that have been created to kind of keep the fandom alive in this period when the thing that you really enjoyed and appreciated most was taken away from you. So, also I would just say the marketplace too is full of unique and interesting crafts as well, very specific to the Starcruiser. And I thought that was really neat to see all the creativity out on stage for people that are like, I want to buy things and merchandise related to this, and yet they can't, because it technically no longer exists. So anywho, I think this was a great con. I'll reiterate my kind of thesis here again of, I think that every Star Wars fan should get a glimpse at Halcy-Con. That's my recommendation. Take the chance, even if you didn't go on it, and come to this and learn and see arguably maybe the best of fandom. Something that's really celebrating and keeping things alive that are no longer with us. And maybe we can just learn to be better people as a result. Encourage thoughtful discussion, remembrance, creativity. So that's my thesis there. Those are my thoughts. I thank you all for joining me on this Halcy-Con journey. We're gonna have some more related Starcruiser content, I bet you, coming up in the next couple of months here, because we did make some connections on site. So that is something that's currently in the works there. So more to come on that. But for now, you know where to find Force Ghost Conversations on all the social platforms, if you will. The X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky. If you really want to see a lot of what we were doing over the last couple of days, I think Instagram was probably the best place for that. Just because the Halcy-Con account is primarily active there. So just search for Force Ghost Conversations. You can find us in all those places. Again, tell your friends about the podcast too. Just search for us, Apple, Spotify. Any place that has a podcast these days, you can find us. Hit subscribe, rate us, do all the things. And we'll actually be back in your podcast feeds very soon with a very special episode. We've got a lot of special episodes coming up here. So be on the lookout for all that. It's going to be great. Thanks again for your support. May the Force be with you. Take care.